everyone, I'm Esther Kovac, a co-founder and CEO of DroneTalks, and today I am talking with Glen, who is the CEO of Volatus Aerospace. Hi, Glen.
Hi, Esther. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, you are one of my favorite American companies. I should admit that, and it's very impressive how you grew. And because we are mainly a European platform, if someone don't know Volatus, could you please, explain what you do, just in a nutshell?
Certainly. So Volatus Aerospace is a publicly traded drone company. We trade on the Toronto Venture Exchange and on OTC markets in the United States. We serve both civil and defense markets. We have 3 service verticals. Our drone services, which is basically airborne intelligence. We have our solutions engineering, which is basically developing, combining, integrating technologies or creating new technologies. And then we have ultimately our equipment sales and training activities.
Fantastic. So just out of interest, before we go too much into details, how come you became a CEO of a drone company? That's my hottest question always, because, it's such a new industry and it's just how did you decide to go that direction?
Fate.
Fate.
Esther, so my background, I'm a professional pilot by training, so I've been involved in aerospace now for basically 40 years, but always in aircraft operations, maintenance, repair, overhaul, fuel distribution, small airline operations. And an investment partner and I talked about drones a number of years back. I really wasn't overly interested, but we had done a whole bunch of investments together over time. And he convinced me, we'll put a little bit of money in a company and start looking to see if we could help some small businesses grow. We identified our first customer, and we ended up buying that company, and from there about 13 others after that. So
wow.
The group has about 17 companies, and really what we found, what interested us in the drone space, it was a nascent industry. The demand was hyper-stimulated, so the adoption rates were accelerating pretty much in every industry segment. The technology curve was, kind of rocketing, but it was largely still being served, as it is today to some degree, by small businesses. We lovingly call them 2 guys in a truck, but the truth of the matter is, they're very, very competent professionals, but oftentimes lacking in capital resources or, just some of the business resources that are necessary to grow. So we saw it as being a significant opportunity to create something that had a national and international scale. And I fell in love with the industry.
Amazing. I have a very important question. Do you think consolidation gonna still happen, between drone companies, or do you think that this is kind of already done, or what's your view? Because now you say you broke a few, entities. So I'm really curious about your view, because it seems like you really have a lot of experience in this field.
We've so it's my point of view, anyways.
Yeah, sure.
The industry is still highly fragmented. And the challenge with a fragmented industry is it's really not coordinated efforts. There's not a lot of standardization and so on. I believe we're in a period where we're really just beginning consolidation. I think the industry is ripe to be consolidated. We're starting to see it. Volatus has been doing it now for a couple of years. I see that continuing. But no, I think it's a key activity. The industry needs to consolidate right now.
We feel the same in Europe. This is why I did ask this question, because we have the same vibe in Europe about consolidation. It's good to hear from a global player. You feel the same. Fantastic. So regarding use cases, I know you do a lot of work with first-line responders, right?
We do.
So I'm just wondering, on scale, how many drone flies with your collaborations, or how can I imagine? Or is it growing now, or is it like,
So overall, we're very diversified. So overall, we have, approximately 80 full-time employees. We have about 1,200 contract pilots that we use.
Wow.
And so it's almost impossible for me to tell you how many flights we actually do. We cover all of Canada, all of the United States, We're in Latin America, growing pretty quickly. We're permanent staff located in Bogota, Colombia, and Lima, Peru. And then we have a new office now opened in London, England, to help us with expanding in basically Europe, Middle East, and Africa. But the drones as a first responder is, I think the adoption rate there is growing enormously. There's some North American companies that I believe are doing some tremendous work. Flying Lion, for example, out of California. A couple of partners that have been doing some wonderful things on the West Coast, but largely right throughout the United States and Canada, using drones in public safety. So whether it's police forces, using them in fire. I'll give you an example. We have a project that we're working on right now that will actually use a drone when there's a serious fire that's charged. The fire department would dispatch a drone to be able to create situational awareness for the firefighters before the truck even arrives.
Wow.
Even if it's out there for 45 minutes and subsequently lands, by the time the firefighters get there, they've really got good situational awareness. Same is true on the police side, for example. Law enforcement agents are now able to, figure out where the bad guys are, hopefully putting our officers or keeping our officers a little bit further out of harm's way.
Yeah.
There's some tremendous companies like Brink that are doing some creating interesting technologies, but I think it's a very, very valuable tool. On the emergency health services, delivering AEDs or epinephrine, for example. We have a county that we're working with right now, and their objective is to be able to deliver an AED to anywhere in their region within 7 minutes. And the idea being that they can lean on trained first responders. Not such a big deal in urban areas, but when you start looking at more rural and further away from the cities, it's harder for the ambulances to respond as quickly. So drones will allow us to deliver life-saving technologies and in support of patients that are in that area. So a lot happening in that space.
Wow, and it seems like you have a lot of experience already, what you can adopt and bring to other areas where they're just in the beginning of this journey, right? So,
well, I think there's a number of companies that are focused on public safety. Companies like FlyMotion is another one in the U.S. I'm most familiar with U.S. and Canadian companies. Very focused on the public safety and defense areas and doing a great job. Public safety, I would say, is a major area of growth right now. The industry is still, just touching the opportunity in precision agriculture. We're going to be in a situation soon as the technologies continue to evolve. Some of the regulations allow us to spray chemicals from drones in a way that's more commercially viable. It's creating a healthier environment. It's creating a more profitable environment for the farmers. There's just countless benefits. Agriculture is an area, it's probably one of our biggest opportunities globally, not necessarily one of the fastest to adopt, though. So it's going to take us a lot longer to penetrate that space.
But I agree with you. In Switzerland, we are a small country where we base, but already there is a lot of adoption, and the farmers are looking for these solutions. I know I talk to them and they say, hey, anything that saves me money, it's good. So, this is easy. It saves money for them, so they want it, right? And you provide a solution for it.
The technology that's coming even in software, if you imagine, especially where you have high volume, low value crops, one of their challenges is pest infestation.
Exactly.
But if a low value crop has a pest infestation, sometimes it's less expensive for the farmer to write off the crop than it is to actually service it. But by using drones and sensors to go in and actually measure pest density and realize that only a portion of the field may exceed the tolerance of the plant for the pest infestation, then all they need to do is immediately move in with the chemicals to treat just that one section of the field. Reduces the chemical cost dramatically and again creates more viability for the farmers. It's
a fantastic use case. So I see a lot of use cases coming, construction and others, but I'm just wondering, you mentioned during your discussion, we are just in the beginning of this fantastic journey. So you as an investor, as a CEO, I'm really, really curious about your brain as my last question. How would you estimate the market, or what do you see, is coming? How do you vision, the next 5-10 years, or
So we use markets and markets as our kind of reference. So if you look at it today, numbers, depending on what sources you're using, they're a little bit all over the map. But we look at it, today's drone industry is about a $20 billion industry, growing at combined annual growth rate approaching 17%. Honestly, I think that underestimates where we are. That report was produced in 2021. The Russian invasion in Ukraine, as horrible as it is, for the drones, it's actually hyper-stimulated our industry. We're now finding that drones that weren't considered before, especially intelligence drones, are now not just in service in Ukraine, but Ukraine has identified drones as almost changing the face of modern warfare. You've got soldiers that now don't have to peek their head up to gain situational awareness. They can toss a drone into the air and have instant eyes, eye in the sky. So I think countries around the world are going to reevaluate the use of drones in their strategies on the defense side. So I think that there's a lot of growth yet that has yet to be measured. On top of that, I feel a little bit we're in a snowball phase. The adoption rate's accelerating, and the more there's adoption, the more it spurs further adoption. So we have customers that were doing a certain amount of work with us a year ago or 2 years ago, and now that they've seen the capabilities of what drones can do for them, they're not just expanding the business, but they're expanding what they're using drones for. Yeah, so they're now, in the past, for example, in antennas, we might use a drone to be able to identify and validate the location and height of a relay tower. Whereas today, when we're done with that, we might actually use the drone to do a three-dimensional map of the RF signature, basically optimize the antenna location on the tower. So there's the use cases in individual industries are just continuing to grow.
And I cannot agree more. And finally, someone talked out it loudly. Those numbers are underestimating the market. I agree, it is totally. Thank you so much, Glenn, for the great discussion.
Thank you, Esther. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks.